What about the First Amendment?
Well, I was gonna say you can't argue the First Amendment, right? Like
You can.
Well, no, that's why.
That's what I found out.
That's why I was
at
like, all right,
school.
never mind. Let me take that. What I just said.
Yeah,
back,
apparently you can.
Yeah.
Apparently you can argue everything.
Well, you can't do defamation.
That's
right?
what laws do.
Yeah.
That's what lawyers do. They find ways to argue things. Like going back to the Trump trials.
Right.
You heard of, what is his name? John Eastman? He was the lawyer that basically consulted with Trump and was like, I've been thinking about this. And I've been reading some scholarly law text, and I think the vice president can just throw out the votes. I think he can just decide not to certify the election. And they're like, and Trump's like, really? He's like, I think so. And he's like a lawyer. Mm-hmm. He's like, I think you got a case there. And he's like, okay, let's do that. And then they told Mike Pence, they were like, we think you can throw these votes away. You can just not do it. He's like, just not certify the election. He's like, yeah. Just send it back to the states. Buy us some time. We'll figure it out. Uh-huh. And then he was like, I don't think you can you? And then so he met with a bunch of lawyers and he said, look at everything. Just read. Try to see because they want to know if there are lawyers. That's all they do. They go through just trying to find precedent anywhere. If they can find precedent, they can make an argument, right. And then it's up for, then if they have precedent, they can appeal if they don't like the decision, and then the Supreme Court has to set a new precedent. But then apparently those lawyers came back, all of Pence's, and they were like, yeah, we're not buying that one. I don't think. Because they were like, sure, maybe you could make that argument, but if you get to the Supreme Court, they're going to throw that out 9-0. Like, they're not, no, it's going to come back badly.
Well, look at what happened when Colorado took Trump off the ballot and then went up to the Supreme Court, and it was 9-0.
It was 9-0 to put it back on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the circumstances of with that. It did. I think I heard about it a little bit. It seemed like a stretch. But wait, no, it's not a stretch. Because what was it? It was they invoked an amendment that said if you are part of an insurrection, you cannot run for office.
Yes. And then a whole bunch of people were throwing different.
That makes sense.
Yes, and then
but he hasn't been convicted of any of that.
But then it said it also Vivek Ramaswamy. I'm sorry, I can't say your last name.
That fucking guy.
He made a point where he said it's all these people, but it doesn't say anything about the president of the United States is involved in this.
Just everyone. Wait. Oh, it doesn't say that he was involved in the insurrection.
It doesn't say if the president. It doesn't say the president
is open to that.
Yeah, yeah.
So they're like governor, yes. Senator, yes.
President, no.
City council member, yes.
Yeah.
President, he's king.
Yep.
It's fine. He can do whatever he wants.
So that was an argument from
because he has immunity, right?
Right. So this is Vivek's point of view, and I was just
because is Vivek a lawyer? Because that sounds like a lawyerly thing to do.
Vivek is actually it's
the equivalent of technically
no, because Vivek, from what I remember, he was a medical entrepreneur that sold technology to the medical companies.
Yeah.
And then
he's
when he turned 30-something, he was like, oh, our government is fucked up. I want to do something about it. And that's why he started running for government.
Are you sure he didn't start running for government because he saw Trump and he was like, ooh, I want to be that famous?
Well, that's probably what people said about fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger when he ran.
Trump is different. Trump transcended. When Trump ran, he did something that I don't think anyone has ever done. Ever. And he's transcended. He's become like a conduit for our culture. All culture runs through for at least a couple of years. For those 4 years, everything ran through Trump. Mm-hmm. Everything came back to Trump. Everyone was talking about Trump, or they were actively not talking about Trump. People, everyone was under Trump derangement syndrome. Okay. And when I say Trump derangement syndrome, I don't mean it how some people, because the left will say,
I know what you're saying.
They'll say it different. I think everyone has it.
Right. But what are you trying to get at though? What are you trying to get at?
Well, yeah. So when you look at that, you go, I want to be a conduit for culture. I want to be the most famous person alive. Like, I want everyone to be talking about me 24/7.
That's funny. Yeah. I forgot who said it, but someone was like, when did the government become a celebrity thing?
Yeah. That's a good question. Would you say Ronald Reagan? Because he was a former actor. He was the president of the Actors Guild. Like he was legit famous.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he was legit famous. And so, but then you go back. I mean, John F. Kennedy was pretty famous just for being like a good-looking 40-year-old like president, a young like good-looking president. But he wasn't famous before then. Like we weren't obsessed with him, and So I feel like Reagan's the obvious starting point for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Trump is just the ultimate version of that. Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see him convicted on one thing. They're throwing a lot at him, and if they can get him on one thing, like they got Al Capone on tax evasion, they can just get him on
one fucking thing.
That's why everyone's just like, is the Stormy Daniels that big of a deal? Is it even about the insurrection? I'm like, all these things are about the insurrection, in the same way that tax evasion was about getting Al Capone for. They weren't trying to lock him up for tax evasion. They were locking him up because he was a murderer, a racketeer, a mobster.
Yeah, but is how
it stuck. That's how they did it.
Yeah.
They were like, we got him on this fucking taxes.
Do you think?
And so here they're like, we got him on the porn star. We did it.
No. Do you think you could handle all that stress, like of being a high? I'm gonna say just the word celebrity. That's the first word I can come up with. Just being that high profile.
Oh. Well, he's been high profile throughout most of his life.
Well, yeah, because of his dad.
So it's sort of normal for him.
But what, you not coming from that background, you don't think you can handle?
No. Not even. I think it would destroy me.
Destroy you?
It would freak me out.
That would be more like 7%.
Dude, I mean, yeah. It would be 9. Melissa will tell you. Melissa will be the first one to tell you that when I went viral for the TikTok, I was kind of freaking out.
Why?
It's just weird. I have so much anxiety to begin with, right? And what happens with fame is it compounds everything. It takes everything that you're already going through and ramps it up to like 20. So if you're in a position where people like know who you are, like suddenly all your anxiety, like imposter syndrome, all these things like, oh, people are out to get me, all these like dumb delusions that you have that are just minor, suddenly become very extreme. And so you just want to like run away or whatever. But I mean, and then imagine turning that up, because that wasn't even that much.
I was going to say, yeah, I feel like it's not like your neighbor was like, or your whole, where you're at.
Now imagine turning that up. Like,
imagine walking out and just.
I would just, I do what they all do. I just buy a compound and live at the compound. Yeah. Isn't that what Joe Rogan does now? He just lives at his compound now.
Oh, no, I'm not sure on that one. Does he?
I don't know. Does he? Didn't he just buy a compound?
I'd be so sad because I'm so used to like going to the market, walking down the street. I like that. I like that life.
Well, maybe you move to another town.
Like Calabasas? The Hidden Hills?
Like, not even in Southern California. Maybe go up to Oregon or something. I don't know. Some town where you can just live your life. That's what I was thinking. Like, I was like, wouldn't it be nice if like, because remember there was that period of time where Britney was like, there was the Free Britney movement and people were being really insane about Britney Spears again. And they were just like, free Britney from her or whatever. And I was like, wouldn't it be nice if we could just take Britney, put her in a small town in Washington, and we all just agree for a year,
leave her alone,
just to leave her alone and not pretend like we don't know who she is. Just everyone get in on it. Everyone pretend. Just give her a year of normalcy.
The opposite of the Truman Show.
Wouldn't that be so nice? Just to like, yeah, exactly. And everyone's in on it. Everyone's like, I will not stare. I will not ask for a picture. Yeah, wouldn't it be just great? And it's just like, at some point, do you think Trump's like, wouldn't that be great if I could just go up to Bend, Oregon?
I feel like, yeah. I think the same way we can't even fathom what that feels like, same thing for them. Like, they can't even fathom what our lives go through every day.
Because he's got to want to be loved. Like, inherently, people want to be loved.
Okay, yeah.
They don't want to be hated.
I agree with that, right?
And so he was loved. He was beloved, even though
politics.
I mean, some people thought he was a jackass, but for the most part, it was a positive opinion of just, oh, sure, he's our jackass, whatever. He's just some clown that we all go, haha, we love, and most popular show.
I remember seeing videos of him on the Oprah show, and Oprah loved him, and they were like, "Are you gonna run for government?" And he's like, "No, that's not what I."
Everyone loves him, but then at some point, well, when he ran for president, I mean, before that though, he was starting to like in his old age, he's just become. I mean, it's probably likely that he's always been this way. He's just had more of a handle and more of a control over his image. And now it's just all falling apart. And he will now go down in history as a bad guy. Like, it doesn't matter how many people love him out there. Like, there are a lot of people who fucking loved Hitler. Like it's like, now I'm not trying to equate the two. I'm just saying, I'm
I see
trying to make a
I
larger
see
point.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
That clip's going to be taken out of context.
Yep.
You see what Chris said? Some people really like Hitler.
This is what the left thinks.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's like, he's going to go down as bad, generally bad. Mm-hmm. History will not be kind to him.
Trump hit aside, what did you think about the shoes?
Those shoes look pretty funny.
I thought you were gonna say fire. No, for some reason I thought you were gonna go. I'm
not gonna wear them, but I saw them and I go, these are fun.
Trump, I love you, but
they're fun.
I'm not wearing those shits.
Fun in the sense that I'm not wearing them, but I could.
What are you talking about? Like glass case, keeping them?
It's a fun, but then at some point you have to go, like, because people have Nazi artifacts, and at some point you have to be like, well, should I display that in my home? Uh-huh. Like, Trump's like at a very thin line about that, because like I said, he hasn't been convicted of instigating the insurrection yet, so it's all just a charge right now. But if you have the Trump sneakers, and he's the only president that's tried to form an insurrection, the only president that went to jail, the only president who's just steals hundreds of millions of dollars from people and just gives it to people that work in his hotels, you go, I don't think I can display these. People will get the wrong idea.